All right, so you're going to be taking your drawing and you're going to be gently patting off some of the material because you actually want that to be pretty faded out. You don't want harsh, heavy lines surrounding your objects because you want it to look 3D. And if it has a heavy outline, it's going to look flat instead of 3D, so it's kind of counterintuitive. So I just took a tissue, a Kleenex, and I am kind of patting, smearing a little bit. I know I said no blending, but this isn't technically blending. We're trying to lift off here, just so you get a pale shadow of an outline for all your forms. So you can see I'm actually rubbing there to try and get that to go as faint of image as possible, so it's kind of a ghost image of the forms. Okay, now I'm looking at my reference picture and I'm trying to determine where the light source is coming from. So to me it looks like it's angled from the upper left, so it's hitting the left side of each form, which means that the right side of the form should be in shadow. So there is a shadow on the pyramid, on the sphere. The cube has multiple shadows, the cylinder has a shadow, all on the right side. So that's important that you get the shadow on the correct side. Okay, so now we're going to go to the cylinder first. And you can see this is how you're supposed to hold your pencil, that far back. And I am working upright, so I'm working on an easel. Kind of makes it a little bit easier when you're working upright to hold your pencil like this, because I'm kind of letting the weight of the pencil kind of pull my hand down a little bit. And I'm not holding that pencil very heavy or with much pressure at all. So I am using a 2B pencil, which should be the lightest pencil that you have in your box apart from the white. And I'm going to the form shadow side and I'm filling it in. It is not all 1 degree of shadow. It's darker in places, and in fact, like to me, when I look at it, it kind of lightens as it goes down towards the pyramid and the cube there. And then it fades out. Remember, we're going to be using the gray of the paper to act as another medium or another tone. That'll be our mid-tone there. And there's a little bit of shading at the top of the cylinder, the top of the ellipse. There you go. I'm going to try and define that edge a little bit more as we go. And right now it's a little bit patchy. I'm going to go in there and fix that up a little bit more. One thing you should try while you're shading is to rotate the tip of your pencil. I think I do it every about 60 seconds, but you could do it sooner than that. If you turn your tip just slightly, it makes such a big difference because then you're not wearing down one side of the pencil. Okay, so now I'm looking at my reference and I'm going to be comparing the form shadows. So I'm looking at the form shadow on the cylinder, comparing it to the form shadow on the pyramid. And to me, the pyramid looks quite a bit darker than the form shadow on the cylinder, so I have to keep that in mind when I'm shading the cylinder, that I'm going to have to go darker on the pyramid side of the form shadow. Now when I compare the lights together, the pyramid versus the cylinder, the pyramid appears to be brighter. So those are things I'm going to have to do throughout the piece, comparing one form to another and how much light is really on it. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to go and start on the lights. So I'm going on the left side, trying to curve my line a little bit around that form, try and wrap it around. Think of those contour lines we did. And because I know that the pyramid is going to be far brighter, I am not pressing very hard. I'm going very light. And you can see how far back I'm holding that pencil to get that light. The farther back you hold the pencil, the more control you have over pressure. So I am going in little ovals in places to get in there a little bit tighter areas. I'm trying to avoid any patchy shading. I'm trying to think about curving my line around the form. And I want even lighting. Now I did notice that when I look down this cylinder, it's a little bit brighter white down towards the pyramid. It's also a little bit lighter on the form shadow side as it goes down towards the pyramid too. So it starts off a little bit more intense and then it lightens up. So those are things to pay attention to. I'm also going to try and put in a little bit of white on the top too. One thing you want to avoid is you don't ever want to go white on top of black. Those two always have to be separated by some gray paper. They cannot be one on top of the other. It's going to make this ugly, tacky gray color that'll look like split pea soup, it's a gross color. We're not going for that. Give space between the blacks and the whites, and use the gray of the paper to act as a mid-tone.